What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Rainswept. I'm your host, the Birdman known as Falcon. I wanted to check this out here today because I caught wind of this game a couple of days ago. I checked out the premise behind it and I was actually fairly intrigued. Here you're playing the role of a detective who gets called up to a small little community up in the forest, mountain areas because there's apparently been a murder-suicide. But as you go over there to check this out, it seems like there's a bit more than meets the eye to this entire case. It kind of has this entire Twin Peaks allure to it, and I'm a big fan of Twin Peaks. The music is really, really good thus far. Apparently it's made by the person who composed the music for the Cat Lady, if I'm right. And the visuals are actually very pretty as well. So, this is actually a free demo for you guys to download. It's about an hour long is what I read. So I'll have the links down below in case you want to download it for yourself. I definitely encourage you to do so. Give the developers some feedback. And hopefully this right here could be turned into a full-fledged game. Alrighty, so let's see, here's the scene of the crime. It's my vehicle here, I just got here. I'm not going back now. It's still my car. Yeah, you would be right about that. So, let's see what we got here. They've been here a while, it looks like. Might give a couple of voices to these people here, too. Terrible. What? I said terrible. Terrible business, all this. Bah! This is only a matter of time, everyone knows that. I know, still, they were so young. Young and stupid, you mean? The stories I've heard. I guess you're right, it was just a matter of time. What? It was, a matter of time. It was really coming down today, we should really get back home. A few more minutes, I want to see what happens. Nothing's gonna happen. I'm gonna catch a cold, that's all. Wow, yeah, a couple of people dead, these people are more worried about the drama behind it all. I guess that's basically real life for you though, huh? Let's see, we could, that's the way inside. I wonder why Chief sent me all the way to Pineview for this case. Only one way to find out. Can we talk to these people here? The crowd is too close to the crime scene. The number of cops are too few. This is poor. Ma'am, please, you need to back away a little. What's happened here? A murder? Johnny, get under the umbrella. Granny, I want to leave. Can I go back to the shop? Could see this coming a mile away. Ma'am, please. Granny, please. All right, Johnny, let's go. There's no point standing here now. Yeah, I knew this would happen. We should have done something. There's nothing we could have done. Chris is responsible. I'm so sure. It's hard to disagree, but let's not speculate. Detective Anderson, right? The chief is inside. They've been waiting for you. Tell the crowd to back away. You need to push the crowd further from the scene, officer. What? You have to speak up. I can't hear you over the rain. The crowd. Handle them. There could be evidence out here. Oh, yes, I'm trying. Hey, Williams! What the hell are you doing? I'm trying to prop this tape, sir. It won't stay. We'll get some sticks in and drive them in. Yes, sir. Richard! Don't call for Richard. Richard's on leave. Do it yourself. Goodness. Sorry, detective. Thing is, we're short of manpower here. We weren't prepared for this kind of thing. First time in decades. To top it off, this rain out of nowhere. Just get the crowd under control. I'm heading inside. Yes, detective. Don't worry. Richard! I mean Williams! Quite an operation you're running over here, huh? What's it looking like inside? Should I go in? Yeah. No point hanging around out here. God. That's the sheriff? I should talk to him first. Indeed we will. Alright, so here is apparently the suicide, and then we have, I guess, a significant other that he shot beforehand, that we know of. Not very professional. I hope they know what they're doing. Yeah, you and me both. Let's see. Michael? Huh? Okay. Something's happening, my dude. Detective, are you okay? I think so, yeah. I guess I'm just a little tired after the long drive here. Detective Anderson, right? The head office called in to say that you'd be joining us here for this investigation. I'm Sheriff Harris, and this is Lieutenant Watt. We appreciate the department sending help, but, I don't think we'll need it. The case is ready to be wrapped up. What do we have here? The victims here are Christopher Green, age 26, died from a bullet wound to the head. Looks self-inflicted. And Diane Miller, age 24, single bullet wound through the chest. The victims lived together, and they were unmarried. Alright, so let's see. First and foremost, any witnesses always really important. Any witnesses? Just the next door neighbor, who claims to have heard a single gunshot. We can interview him shortly. Well, that should be a problem there because we have 2 gunshots, not just 1. Alright, the weapon. What do we know about the weapon? Both shots fired from a .45 caliber pistol. The ballistics report will let us know more. Alright. Time of death. According to the next door neighbor, a single gunshot was heard around 0015 hours. We received a call at about 0020 hours and we were here in another 5 minutes. We found them dead upon arrival and confirmed the timing. Any signs of an intruder? No signs of forced entry. The door was locked from the inside when we arrived. An officer climbed through the open window here to open the door. There were no footprints outside that window. Yeah, except the officer's, nah? He was careful. No signs of struggle or marks on the body either. Gotta question the way you run your operation here. Honestly speaking, Detective, we think it's pretty obvious what's taking place here. What do you mean? They had a reputation. They weren't exactly a happy couple. The whole town knows this. Diane was shot at point-blank range with Chris's gun, probably by Chris. He then went ahead and shot himself, as the wound is clearly self-inflicted. So you see, sending you here unnecessarily complicates things. I'm beginning to think it was a very good idea, in fact. It's obviously a case of murder-suicide, Detective. So, we've got it all figured out here, huh? If that was sarcasm, I'll ignore it. But yes, more or less. Are you suggesting there was domestic violence involved? It would seem so. It was never reported, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. So rumors? You may call it that, but where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm not sure of that. And they were never really able to fit in this town. They were new here, moved in about 6 months ago. Never got out much, didn't make any friends. We don't need to analyze the obvious, Detective. That would only be inefficient. Officer Blunt will assist you through the course of your work here. Hello, Detective. And, one more thing. We're looking to wrap this case up quickly and cleanly. We don't want it to drag if it can be helped. We have an important festival coming around in a week's time. So you might say this is, rather bad timing. So there's no need to go around complicating things, alright? Just get me a story that works and we can close this case quickly. Wow. Quite a town. Okay. Good. I shall see you later. Goodbye. Ahem. Anyway, have a look around the room if you'd like. Come talk to me when you're done. Well, let's talk to apparently Watt here first, or I guess we'll check the body out first. What's this? Chris 96? I'm guessing Chris built some of the furniture around this house. Well, apparently they moved here 6 months ago, allegedly. .45 caliber pistol, as the lieutenant said. It looks pretty old. There's 4 rounds in the magazine. This gun can hold 7. 3 rounds have been fired from this gun at some point of time. 2 were fired last night, or was it 3? Or was the gun loaded with only 6 out of the possible 7 rounds? The gun belonged to Chris, according to Lieutenant Watts. Let's assume Chris or Diane weren't the ones to use it. Is there anyone else that could have known where they kept the gun? From Pineview? I really doubt it. Remember, no signs of forced entry. Could it be someone they were comfortable with or trusted? No one I can think of. Alright. So here is a box of rounds for the gun, too. There's 17 here, 3 are missing. 2 were used during the murder. So there's still like a missing gunshot then. What about the third? Bullet wound to the head. The skull is badly damaged. Most of the inside has been blown off. His body position and the way he fell would indicate that he was sitting sideways on the chair, facing where Diane's body is now. The angle of the shot indicates that he was shot from his side. If someone shot him, they were standing in front of the refrigerator. No clues there, though. He could have been shot from that window. At that moment, it's shut. Must get it checked for fingerprints and footsteps outside. Could someone have entered and left through here? We should have the fingerprint results in a couple of days, Detective. Don't forget, there aren't any footprints outside. If someone shot him from outside, then Chris would have sat facing the refrigerator. That would make sense that way. The killer wouldn't need to enter the house. But in that case, who shot Diane? Gunpowder residue on his right hand. Hard to disagree with the lieutenant here. This is strong evidence for the victim shooting himself, unless it was made to look that way. Maybe it would indicate the third shot that's apparently missing too. Alright, so... this chair's not been moved. Looks like Chris was sitting alone when the murder happened. The damage and the residue would suggest the shot was taken at point-blank range. That rules out the possibility of her being shot from the open window. She would have been in line of sight from the outside, though. There's no mistaking it. The perpetrator would have to be inside the house to cause this kind of wound. Whether that was Chris or someone else is hard to say at the moment. Alright, let's have a chat with Mr. Willis outside. Which I guess would probably be the neighbor. The rain has finally let up. Willis? Right, this is Mr. Willis. He lives right there, next door. Coffee, Detective? Why, yes, thank you. I like coffee. You can ask him any questions you may have about last night. Right, Mr. Willis. Can you tell me everything that you saw or heard during last night's events? Well, see, I headed off to bed at around 11 p.m. as I usually do, after a glass of whiskey. Helps me sleep, you know. Anyway, somewhere around 12:15, I'd say, I was woken up by a loud bang. I ran to me bedroom window that looked straight down at the place. And what did you see? Nothing. The kitchen lights were on, but that's about it. I went to my phone and called Lieutenant Watts there right away. Alright. How long did it take you to get to that window? About a couple of seconds, Detective. Not more than 5, I'd say. I nearly fell out of my bed when I heard the shot, so you might say I was halfway there already. Did you see anyone at all on the street? No, Detective. That was exactly the same as always. Yes, the whiskey usually locks me out pretty good, so if there's been more, I didn't hear him. Well, maybe he was too drunk to hear the second one, maybe. I guess that could be a possibility. Move on to other questions. Do you live alone? Yes I do. Never got married. It's, long story. One meant to be talked over a couple of whiskeys, know what I mean? Can anyone confirm your whereabouts? No. I was just at home, you see. Am I a suspect? It's procedure, mister. I know Mr. Willis. He's cool. React to the unprofessionalism on display. Yeah, dude, come on. Don't cock block my question here, right? Oh, my lord. What? Did they have many visitors? No, not at all, in fact. And all this time, I only maybe saw Jack coming over to fix their car, and Father Smith came over a couple of times. They'd newly moved in. Are you back almost? Nah, people rarely ever visit him because they mostly kept to themselves, see? Never made any friends here. But sometimes folk don't like those kind of either, you know? So I can't really say. Know what I mean? No. Please elaborate. You won't find anyone crying over the deaths here. Nobody really knew them. They never got out much. It's still people who died, dog. Any other information you'd like to share? Don't know if this is useful, but you might have heard about Chris and Diane. They looked pretty happy when they first moved in. More recently, though, I heard Diane crying a couple of times, usually late at night. See, the whiskey knocks me out early, so maybe that's why I never heard all this before. But a couple of times I was up a little later. One night, about a month ago, I heard pretty bad things. There was some loud sounds, like stuff being flung around and such, see? I heard someone crying. I was thinking to myself that maybe I should have called the police, but then it quieted down all of a sudden. We never receive any calls for domestic violence, but people have often talked of stories of this kind. Can you remember when you heard this, Mr. Willis? Yeah, well, I was up late night, writing an important letter. I think it must have been somewhere between 1st and 3rd last month. 1st, 3rd September. Alright, anything else? No, that's all I know about this. Right. Thanks for your help, Mr. Willis. We'll be in touch if we need anything else. No problem, and thanks for the coffee. Alrighty, so still not much, right? Not really picking out anything that jumps to me. Well, I think that's clears up most of the things. It has? Oh, come on, detective. You're supposed to be the good at these things, aren't you? Mr. Willis didn't see anything outside the house after the gun was shot. There are no signs of anybody forcing a forced entry either. On top of that, considering how many things were between the two of them, you heard what Mr. Willis said, right? We don't know the entire picture yet, dog, alright? Relax. We need to dig deeper if we want to know the truth, and not to just confirms our assumptions. Well, what about the door, huh? How was it locked from the inside? Explain that. I checked the door. It locks itself from the inside when you pull it close. Regardless of whether you pull it from the outside or push it from the inside. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying that there's no conclusive evidence yet. Well, fine then. Dig as deep as you like, detective. You won't find anything new here. I was perfectly capable of handling this case myself, but of course, the head department had to complicate things. In any case, Sheriff Harris will probably want to wrap this case before the festival, so don't expect him to wait more than a week. I have to head to the station now, officer. Escort Detective Anderson to his hotel. Will do, sir. We'll come back in the evening to search the house. Letters, diaries, things of that sort. Alright. What can we expect the autopsy results? Or when can we expect the autopsy results? Day after tomorrow, according to the coroner. But I'll confirm and let you know. I'm guessing there were more than 2 bullet shots last night. We should take another look around the kitchen to make sure. 3 bullets, but... Alright. We're actually glad that you're here, you know. Although the sheriff and Lieutenant Watts would rather not admit it. Even to themselves. This is like the first murder here in the last 100 years or so. We have no idea how to deal with it. I mean... It's alright. I know what you mean. I just joined the force a couple months back, for instance. And a murder already? I'm not sure if I'm ready. I kinda knew them, you could say. I've never known anyone that's been murdered before, you know? It's kinda weird. A bit sad. I know as an officer I'm not supposed to feel that way and all. You'll be fine. Give it time. Thanks, detective. That means a lot. Tell me about Chris and Diane. What do you know about Chris and Diane? Well, not much. It's mostly that Mr. Willis said earlier. Nobody knew them, really. They came in here, kept to themselves, never bothered making friends. Everyone thought they were some kind of weirdos. I admit I kind of agreed with that sentiment, too. I feel bad about that now. It's no reason to make assumptions about people's character, and characters can't be used as evidence. So I'd really like to help figure out what the real story is, whatever it may be. The sheriff said there's a festival in town next week. What's that about? Oh, it's an annual thing. We have it every October. There's a fair in the market street, there's food, rides. We get a lot of tourists from nearby states around that time. It's a good source of revenue for some of the smaller businesses here. That, of course, is less important in light of recent events. Good to hear you say that. Of course, we can't go around trying to wrap up cases based on our assumptions, whether the situation may be. I mean, these were people's lives that ended, and it's our job to figure out what really happened. So I guess what I'm saying is, you can count on me during this investigation. Thanks. That's about it. I'm hoping the local police will let me do the job I've been sent up to do, though. I don't mean you. Detective, I know what you mean. I'm serious. He doesn't care about anything except running off home and taking it easy. This case probably ruined his plans to relax and enjoy the festival week. I hate people like that. Lieutenant Watts, though, he's really sweet. I know it comes across a little bit obnoxious, but... oh my god. Oh! Oh. I saw her. She was right there. Why am I seeing her? Why am I thinking of her? Oh! Him falling to the ground on the crime scene. So, our boy might have a little bit of baggage on himself, too. Alright guys, we're gonna wrap it up here for this one. This is Rainswept. I will have all the information in the description down below. It's a free download. Check it out for yourself. There's an hour's worth of the demo for you to check out. And if you do so, you know, it'll maybe encourage the developer to actually complete the project, so that'd be very cool to see. If you want me to continue doing a bit more of this, though, let me know in the comments. Let me know by leaving a thumbs up, and we'll come back and finish it up here. But so far, I'm digging this already. I will catch you next time.